Okay, and so the solution, or the solution to this challenge that we've just talked about, is what I refer to as the 5 pillars of wealth. Okay, the 5 pillars of wealth. The 5 pillars of wealth is a very simple process. It starts with income/earnings. The second one would be money management. The third one would be income and asset protection. The fourth one would be investment portfolio. And the fifth one, estate and retirement planning. Okay? So, income is obvious. You're making a salary, right? So what I talked about here in pillar number 1 is there are some things that you can do strategically that will allow you to maximize most of the dollars that you earn here, right? And you do that through, one, a shift in your mindset, an understanding of, or deciding where you want to be at what point. Do you want to retire at 50, 55, 60, or 65? But you decide at the beginning. Okay, so all these things kind of happen on the front end. It's like if you decide that you're going to take a vacation. You don't go and put money together and start buying clothes and, swimsuits and sunshades and what have you until you really determine that you are going to go to the Caribbean, where you may need that. You may have decided that you're going to take an Alaskan cruise. That would be a different set of clothing. And so, like a vacation, you decide where you're going to go first. So we're talking about, what is your destination? Right? And once you decide what your destination is, in this case your retirement, then we begin to spend and live our lives and work with our money accordingly. All right? Pillar number 2, money management. So here's where you put together this comprehensive plan to deal with all of your debt. The first thing we want to do is we want to eliminate debt. Right? Why is that? Well, debt, like investment, has something attached to it, and it's called an interest rate. And that interest rate compounds. In the case of your credit cards or any loans that you have, when that interest rate compounds, if there's an annual interest rate, let's say of 12%, that means 1% per month is recalculating. And so every month it's recalculating against you. On the other side is if you are investing and you're getting 12%, then that means every month you're earning 1% of interest, and it's compounding every month. Okay? And that's really the optimal situation. You want to eliminate as much debt that has an interest rate to it and begin to invest it and let the interest rate work and build your cash, what we call that accumulation phase, towards whatever your goal was back here in income. Okay? So we're going to eliminate debt. We're going to set up and come up with some type of a spending plan. Now, in this case, I talk about 2 different spending plans. One is a 70-20-10, and the other one is if there's a 2-income household living off of 1 salary. All right? So you think, wow, I'm going to work enslaving 40 hours a week and I'm going to be impoverished. No, you're not. What you're going to be doing is working very smart and strategically towards your future. Okay? Because there's really only 2 ways that we ever make money in this country. Okay? One is to exchange your time and skills for someone else's money. Thus, we have a 40-hour week, right? So the other is when you set your money up to the point where it makes money. Okay? Not only is that a smarter way to make money, it's also one of the least taxed ways of making money. Right? Okay. This third pillar here, simply put, income and asset protection, is insurance. You know, one of the things I tell a story about the goose that lays a golden egg. Well, imagine if you had a goose that laid a golden egg every 2 weeks, right? That gold was worth whatever the market value. In this case, it's close to around $1,650, $1,700 per ounce. So that goose laid a 3-ounce golden egg. How would you take care of that goose? One, if there was a way to, you would protect it against the loss of that goose, which would result in you not getting any more eggs every 2 weeks, right? That would be a smart way to deal with that goose, right? What would you feed that goose? You would feed it very nutritional kinds of foods. Why is that? Because you want that goose to have a long life. You want that goose to keep spitting out those golden eggs, right? Makes sense. What about protecting it against some sort of an accident or a trip or a fall or a broken leg or snapped neck? That might take a little time to recover, thus all its energy is going into recovering, therefore it's not producing those eggs. There would be some sort of disability type insurance for that goose that lays that egg. Well, the long and short of it is that each of us is that goose. We, every 40 or 80 hours per month, we lay a golden egg. It's called a paycheck in the form of a salary. So we want to ask this question. Do we protect that goose? Us? Are we protected, or are we relying on an employer's protection? In most cases, most people do not have any protection on their life and on their income earning ability independent of a job. So here's the downside of that. If you work for a company and your protection is coming from that employer, and that employer either goes out of business or lays you off, what happens to your protection? It goes out the window, absolutely. And so if that protection goes out the window after you're having worked for them for, let's say, 20 years, and you started when you were 25, protection now, you're wide open and you want to get protection, protection is going to cost you the rate of being a 45-year-old as opposed to had you gotten it when you were a 20-year-old. Let alone there may be some medical challenges or ailments that you may have experienced, in which case you would either be uninsurable or maybe the cost of insurance may be a lot higher. And so this is a very important part. We want to protect that income earning ability and any assets that you have acquired. Okay? The fourth pillar is the investment portfolio. Now, most people, if you're like me, the extent of my knowledge around investing was, hey, I have a job, I have a 401k, they match 100%. Whoopee, I'm in there. Well, look, first of all, there's a part that you need to understand is when you're talking about 401ks and 403bs and TSPs. They are highly, highly taxed, if you will, by fees. Okay, those fees are eating up your account if you do not know how to strategically manage those resources. Okay, so we're going to talk to you about diversifying this investment portfolio with things like your 401k, because it is money there. Okay, so an employee fund, we're going to just say 401k. We're going to talk about precious metals, gold and silver. Right? We're going to talk about a Roth. We're going to talk about possibly even some real estate. Now, a lot of folks say, hey, I don't want to have to deal with any tenants or toilets. I understand that. Just remain open. Okay? But nonetheless, these are viable ways of beginning to have your money produce money. Okay? And what's interesting is, two of them are tax-free. They're tax-free solutions, okay? When you operate with